The next session of our 3-day conference is Women in Business Aviation. This is led by moderator Jenny Lau. In this session, we'll focus on strategies to attract more women to the business aviation industry and create an inclusive workforce. Jenny Lau is the founder and vice chair of Sino Group, a leading operator and aircraft management company that was established in 2011 in China. Since then, it has spread its wings further and now, for example, manages aircraft in Southeast Asia, including here in Singapore. Jenny is one of the leaders of business aviation in Asia. She was, for example, the first female chairperson for ASBA. Jenny continues to promote ASBA initiatives, including when it comes to women in business aviation. It gives me enormous pleasure and an honor to welcome onto the stage Jenny Lau. Please give a round of applause for Jenny.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here with us. The last but not least session for women in business aviation. So I'm very honored to be here to host this session as a moderator. And today we have a very interesting group of panelists who are giving us some inspiring experiences in their workforce. And also this session is all about bringing equality, bringing women into the business aviation culture and creating more of a balanced female leadership in the industry. So I hope you enjoy the session. So before we begin, please allow me to introduce today's panelists. We have Ms. Amy Young, please welcome her. She's the Vice President of Marketing at Vista, overseeing Asia Pacific, Middle East, and Africa. And with over a decade in business aviation, she also serves on the board of ASBA. Thank you, Amy, for joining us today. Please take a seat. And secondly, we have Cindy Tse, the Director of Sino Cabin Services Department, bringing 25 years of experience in premium hospitality and aviation. She also is a certified etiquette and luxury service trainer. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Cindy. And then we have Ms. Lili Zhang, the co-founder and general manager of AERO, a company that evolved from Uber for pilots to private jet charters, sales, and aircraft management. Welcome, Lili. And last but not least, we have Roohi Bali, the founder of AOHI Consulting and co-founder of SCORR, Connected Ecosystems. She's an active member of the Women in Aviation Singapore chapter, advocating for diversity and inclusion. Thank you, Roohi, for joining us. So to start, I would like to ask each and every one of you a quick question. What inspired you to join the business aviation industry, and what has your journey been like? And so each of you have a few minutes to introduce your journey and share your story with us. Thank you.
Okay, I'll take that first. Again, thank you very much for having me here, Jenny. It's always a pleasure. So how I started with a mentor of mine. I was coming from a commercial airline background, and I had no idea of business aviation. So I was very fortunate. So he was my very first boss in business aviation. So he took a chance on me, even though I know nothing about the industry. And then he taught me all the knowledge of the industry, and that sets a very solid foundation for me to keep going from there. So I'm forever grateful for that opportunity that someone took a chance on me.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. And Cindy?
Thank you. So my journey started 25 years ago. Actually, I come from Belgium, and I was brought up there. And 25 years ago, I basically, when I was little, my dad took me to a flight to Hong Kong, and I knew from then I wanted to be a cabin crew. And so that was one of my girls' dreams. And so when I came to Hong Kong, I started my journey in the commercial aviation, same as Amy. And after, I think, a month flying, my training manager back then said, Cindy, why don't you come down on ground and teach? And so from then on, I was always, I always worked as a dual crew. That means I partly fly and I coach in the air and I also teach on ground. And so my journey to aviation started then. And so 9 years ago, I had the opportunity to meet Jenny, my boss, and she gave me the opportunity to also join a private jet. And for me, that was actually a very, an eye-opener, something that I do not want to go back to commercial. It's a different kind of business. It's also a business where you always need to be very creative, and you need to understand how to create personalized service, and it's just a high level up. And this is actually where I started my journey in private jets, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. We're actually very grateful. Cindy is also teaching at the Hong Kong University for business etiquette. So if you're interested to take her class, please register with her. So next, Lili, please.
Hi, everyone. It's my pleasure meeting you all here. I'm Lili. What inspired me to this industry, I guess, is the unique personal connection of the business aviation. Early in my career, I realized that this industry isn't about just planes. It's about solving puzzles, like moving CEOs to closed-door meetings, getting medical teams to rescues, or reuniting families. So that's what excites me the most. And my journey is kind of unexpected. So I guess I was just at the right place by right time. I studied economics at university. Then I started aviation sector in business development. Then I moved to crew management because I saw a huge disconnect. Clients needed talents, but the industry wasn't tapping into all the talents, especially for women. And that's how I started AeroLink.
Thank you, Lili and Roohi.
Hello, everyone. I'm Roohi. Well, for me, when I was starting up my journey in aviation, there was no one to guide me in a way. I just fell in love with the idea of aviation. And when I was pursuing my undergraduate program, so I got the opportunity to get into MBA program in aviation management. And that's how I started my career into aviation. So when I joined the industry, of course, I'll resonate with what Emmy just said. Someone actually took risk on me, and someone showed that trust on me. So I remember when I was going for my first interview just immediately after my MBA, and so the person, my hiring manager, instead of asking me normal HR questions, he straight away asked me a question, and can you sell an aircraft? And I was like, what? So it was very nervous situation for me. And in my nervous situation, I just said yes, with zero technical knowledge on aviation. So that person actually took risk on me afterwards, and he started mentoring me how to understand the technical aspect of aircraft, especially when you're doing the business jets or maybe the trainer aircrafts, for example. So yeah, here I am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Roohi. So before we dive into our main discussion, I see a lot of audience standing here. Please make yourselves comfortable. We have some seats in the front. Welcome to sit down and listen to us. Mr. Yun, please come on and sit in the front. Make yourself comfortable. So let's dive into our main discussion, and then we have 3 main topics to explore today, and I'll collect some specific questions from each of the panelists today. The first topic is business aviation is still a very male-dominated industry. As many of the ladies were introducing about their career path, we were given the opportunity by a lot of gentlemen in this industry, right? So thankful, we're very thankful for that. And now we want to discuss about how can we encourage more women to join this industry. So Cindy, I want to start with you first. With your extensive training experience in aviation, how does your training program ensure women are well equipped with the necessary skills to excel in business aviation?
Thank you for the question, Jenny. So actually, it's really an interesting question because I came from a learning and development background. So 9 years ago, one of my core responsibilities is actually also recruitment, finding the right talents, to match the accounts. And so during my recruitment, many of my recruitments, of course, we ask questions regarding business jet. So a lot of our candidates, they didn't really know about private jet. Nevertheless, you can't really find any information online because it's so secretive, So I found the opportunity in 2019 to open up a academy, a public course, which I developed. So within 3 days, we cover around 12 modules. And to basically let the public to understand, what is really business aviation. And so this is actually also how I helped the public to basically see if they fit in the private jet in aviation, because not everyone would fit, And so I created this tailored course. At the same time, for me, for our existing cabin crew and pilots, we make sure that safety is, of course, non-compliant. So, of course, they need to make sure that they are all set in the, that they are all up to standards, as well as service. This is, especially in the private jet sector, it's a very tailored, personalized service. So how do you make sure that you keep up with the standard? I always tell my crew, you need to stay curious, you need to stay hungry. Training doesn't stop from now. After the training, you still need to be curious, know what's going out there. A very simple example would be, for example, when you go to a restaurant and you go for high-end dining and you really love the dish, talk to your chef, know what's in the ingredients, be curious, and, the worst case, they will say, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to share with you. But what if they do? Then this is extra knowledge that you can take with you. And this is also knowledge that you can share with your clients in flight, for example. So our training program in Sinojet is very structured, I would say. We don't only, focus on safety or service, but also on mindset training, for example, leadership training, because this is actually a whole package, especially when you need to, especially our cabin crew, they need to work with pilots as well as be the link between the clients and the organization itself. So I think for me, mindset training is also one of the crucial factors to make sure that everyone, stays up to par. So this is actually how I actually tailor my training program around for Sinojet, but also for the public, to really to help them to to understand the private jet aviation more.
Yep. Thank you, Cindy. And I'll go to Amy. Moving on to Amy as a marketing leader. Have you launched any campaigns that specifically aim at encouraging more women to join the industry? And what are your vision and key strategies to do so?
Yeah, I think this is very, women in aviation in general, I think this is not a seasonal campaign. This is an ongoing effort in the organization and for the industry. So what we have been doing, we try to be part of, always bringing that elements, that topics, be a part of the events. We work with universities, and we launch every year. We launch our Women in Aviation campaigns ourselves, and we do celebrate and support and promote women within the organization. So having that in your corporate culture is really important. And we see many successful women in our own company. We have our EVP of sales, great success for our regions in Asia is a woman, and then our chief financial officer is a woman, our chief strategy officer is also a woman, and president of US also a woman. So women has been doing so much contribution to the business, and I see so many great leaders in this room, although not enough space to fit everyone on the stage. Vivian, Rita, all of you has been really bringing a lot of the contribution. And Jenny yourself, you are the first females chairperson for ASPA, and that's a statement. So everyone is doing their parts to inspire the industry. So I think it's an ongoing effort. It's not a specific campaign. And then also Jenny and myself also a main lecturers in our business aviation management certificate course at the Hong Kong University. That was long, like the continuing education school. So that's like also hoping to bridging the gap between the industry and, you know, the gaps of lack of talents. And then we want to make business aviation more accessible, because for the general public, it's very far away. When people think about private jets, oh, I don't know where to start. It doesn't really, it's not my world, it's really far away. But everybody starts somewhere, right? We all, I mean, myself, I'm speaking for myself, I'm from a very humble upbringing. You know, I'm not like, it's really completely something new for me, but I will find my space here. And it's not only pilots or cabin hostess. There were so many positions, sales, marketing, finance, legal. There were so many amazing women that has been making, you know, this industry meaningful. It's not just champagne and caviar. You know, we are business tool. We are contributing to the economy. So yeah, that's.
Thank you, Amy. And she's also very active in ASPA's program for the student programs, right? And so teaching, both Amy and Cindy are both teaching at universities and helping the youngsters to join the aviation industry. So thank you very much for sharing that with us. Moving on, so creating a good working environment, that's where Lili and Roohi's experiments come from. And then it's very essential for retaining women in aviation. So let's discuss how companies can foster a supportive workspace culture for that. And so Lili, as a company founder, finding the Uber for pilots, I love that phrase. So how do you ensure a diverse and inclusive hiring process for the aircrew roles? Because we know there are not that many female pilots in the field, and sometimes it's very difficult for them to find a life and work balance. So how do you ensure to find a diverse and inclusive hiring process?
Thank you, Jenny. So Aerolink, we do crew management. So firstly, I think hiring is not just about hiring people from different backgrounds. It's about making sure they feel valued and supported from day one. Especially for aircrew roles where every flight depends on trust and collaboration, so there is no room for mistakes. At Aerolink, we've seen that play out in real life. And small changes make big differences. So start with the job ad. We rewrite the job ad. Instead of saying like 5,000 hours on Gulfstream, we focus on skills and potentials, and we ask, can you handle high pressure situations? So one of our clients in Singapore was struggling to find a pilot with 5,000 plus hours on Gulfstream. And we rewrote the job ad to focus on skills like crisis management and customer service. And this opens up the door for a more diverse background candidates, including like former military pilots, flight instructors, and even cargo pilots. So what we do is we try to find the right candidate, not more candidate. And the next thing we do, which is very important, is the blind resume, which means no names, no photos, no gender, because here is the ugly truth, everyone is biased. Even the most well-meaning hiring manager sees a name like Maria Santos or a photo on the resume, and their brains start making assumptions. And that's why we created blind resumes. So clients get a skill matrix, like this pilot has X hours on Gulfstream, training Y and fluent in Z. So the blind resume is the most simple but yet most powerful tool we use at AERO to help clients to focus what really matters, skills and potential. So one of our clients in Hong Kong who was looking for a pilot to handle their CEO's Hong Kong, Dubai red-eye, they've rejected 20 plus resumes and complaining that no one has the right mix of technical skills and soft touch. And they've received a blind resumes, highlighted 5,005 hours and 2,000 hours on flight instructor, and VVIP hospitality backgrounds with fluent Arabic and English. And they ranked this candidate as their top choice. When we reviewed that this candidate was a woman, the client was so surprised. Not just because she met all the technical requirements, but also impressive with her hospitality backgrounds and language skills. And they might have overlooked this candidate if they'd seen her gender and age up front. So another thing we do at AERO is inclusive interviews. And we work hard to make our interviews as inclusive as possible. So we ask open-ended questions. So instead of asking, why do you think you're qualified, we ask, how do you approach teamwork in multicultural environment? What is your experience in adapting to new aircraft or new protocols? So these kind of questions give candidates a chance to highlight their strength, even if their background doesn't fit to the traditional requirements. So these are some hiring steps we do at AERO to ensure a diverse and inclusive hiring process. And I also have some numbers to share. At AERO we place we went from placing 0 women pilot at our first year to 4 last year. The number is still very low, but here is the twist. Every time we place one of these women, clients call back. Why? Because every time a female pilot steps into the cockpit, passengers notice. And according to ICAO's 2023 report, for every 100 private jet flying in the sky, there's 1 woman flying them in the cockpit. 1. That's the math we are up against.
Wow, that's a really interesting number to hear that 1% of the female pilot flying in the business aviation industry. And I really love the idea that introduced to us for the blind selection of resumes so that nobody will have that biased opinion to start with when you select the qualified professionals and talents to work on the positions you're desired. So really thankful for Lili's sharing with us on that, and we will start to adopt that method in our company as well, and hopefully our audience, in our audience group, you can do so as well to encourage more qualified, whether female or male, talented professionals to join you and service the industry and work with, work as a better team player. So thank you, Lili, for sharing that. So Roohi, so you have been an advocate for gender diversity in aviation for many, many years, right? Have you observed any positive changes in the industry regarding the gender equality over time?
Well, I think definitely there is a progress because let's say 19 years back when I was starting my career, so I happened to attend this kind of event and in a hall full of audiences, there were hardly 5 females and you could count them on fingers, number 1. Number 2, when I was attending a panel session, so there were all male panelists and not a single female. So I was with my the hiring manager who was my mentor. So I told him, I said, one day I want to sit on the other side of the event, which is the panel session, and it has to be all women-oriented panel sessions. And he was like, well, it's a long shot because technically you have to work a lot first on myself. Then, of course, you have to start advocating a lot of things. So what I wanted to say was that one advice actually started shaping my career, first of all. And also when I was growing up in the company on a senior position, so I had a chance of hiring new talent in the company. So I made sure that whatever the training, the mentorship process I went through, I was putting the next generation in the same kind of training setup. And also the region where I started my career, which was India, the aviation 19 years back was not that developed. Today, if you go to that region, of course, it is one of the most emerging markets, a hotspot for aviation, and you would see a lot of females coming over there. But yes, when I was starting, so there was no one. So what I did was, when I was kind of speaking with the younger talents, they always ask me a question, how did you join this industry? What course did you pick up when you were doing this industry? And I was like, you know, you are lucky you could ask me these questions, because when I wanted to explore these questions, there was no one. So like simple education, simple advocacy, that when you are picking up the careers in aviation, you just don't have to pick up a career in a pilot profession or a cabin crew. There are more career options which you can explore in aviation. And business aviation is one of the segments which is still uncatered. There is a lot of lack of knowledge for this industry, and many people still don't know that they can pursue a career in business aviation. So you have to educate them, you have to advocate them, and also sometimes it has to come from a company culture, from top to bottom approach. So the person who took risk on me, he was also a CEO of the company. So he was able to take that risk and make decision immediately. But then sometimes the hiring managers does not have that kind of authority or decision-making power with them. So it has to be a collective approach. And of course, sometimes networking also plays an important role, because working in a company is a one setup, one scenario, but then same time, we are lucky now we have different networking platforms, be it women in aviation, for example. So you have to go out, you have to ask that you need a mentor. You need someone who can hold your hand, who can guide you what to do in this career option. So I think that is where my learning was.
All right, thank you, Roohi. Yes, reaching out for help, and also, get everyone to work together. That's very, very important. Now let's focus on leadership. So many women face unique challenges in advancing their careers in business aviation, especially. So let's hear from our panelists how we can support more women in leadership roles. So I will start with Amy. What challenges have you faced as a woman in leadership, and how did you overcome them?
To be honest, for me, I receive more opportunities rather than challenges in my career, which is very fortunate. I think that is because I'm very fortunate to start my career in Asia. I think Asia, I feel like compared to other regions, we've seen so many women in a leadership position already. Like we appreciate, we know what it means to advocate for women in aviation, and we are supporting that initiative. And there is no single male leaders in this industry that I have spoken to and not supporting this initiative. So I feel like the whole industries are coming together. I don't see this so-called challenges is an issue. For me, it's even more opportunities for women in this in business aviation. I understand, obviously, in cockpit, the ratio is still majority male-dominated, but you're seeing so many women as our lead passengers in leadership in the ballroom. the ratio is growing up year on year, and now we're just providing more platforms, bringing these topics in every event that we organize, and going. I also feel very lucky that I'm in a position now to create more opportunity for future generations. Like we're working with university, go to visit even primary school students, kind of bring the idea of aviation to them in an early age. It's not about always being working in a corporate. Pick your profession. You're very good in finance. You will always find a spot in business aviation, right, and legal, and they're all very professional positions that you also see a lot of leaders shine in. I feel I only have good things to say, and I'm very fortunate. So I hope to see in another 5 or 10 years' time, we'll see more and more women, join the stage. Not me, maybe even more of other choices too. That's something that I would love to see.
Thank you. Yes, I agree with Amy that in this part of the world, I think women are being very well treated in a way that we can see more female leaders in companies in comparison to some other regions. For instance, in Saudi Arabia, if you look at prior to 2018, women are even not allowed to go on the street by themselves. So it takes a long journey for us to advocate and bring more professionals of women leadership into the field and to create a more of equality and inclusive work culture. So Cindy, as the Director of Cabin Services, what are the biggest challenges as a crew face in the aviation industry, particularly in cabin crew leadership?
Thank you for the question. So yes, the majority, honestly, that we have as cabin crew are female. So of course, I always, through my training program, I always tell them that you are, as a leader, you are basically the link between your clientele as well as your pilots. And pilots, most of them are male. So, and of course, we, through some of our programs like mindset training as well as CRM, basically, I'm also doing an additional CRM training where I use blended learning to a particular methodology to basically let the pilots also understand the importance of having your cabin crew basically voicing out if something happens in the cabin, for example, or if the clientele has a special request or whatsoever, that they are also heard of. This is something that I kept doing. I think now it's my 5th year doing the CRM training for my pilots as well as the cabin crew. And besides that also, I think one of the biggest challenges is, of course, I'm also basically blessed, I think same as Amy. So I came in this industry in Asia, and as a female, I've been given a lot of good opportunities, and one of my biggest mentors is actually Jenny. She's a female too. She's my inspiration, and I learned a lot from her, and one day I really want to be like her as well, standing there as a moderator, also basically teaching the youngsters. So I also do a lot of guest talks for universities. I go around the world basically, and even today in the air show, I've got a few students who actually followed me to Singapore just because I told them, be it female or male, if you really want to understand the business aviation and you want to penetrate, you need to understand the business. Come and talk to as many people as you can, and I'll be your coach on the side. So this is something I really want to advocate as a woman in business aviation, just to also, guide youngsters because they are our future. And this is actually how I, basically as a person myself, try to help as much as I can for the public as well as for youngsters in diverse settings. So yeah, this is how I do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. And Lili, moving on to you. If you could change one thing in the next 5 years to support women leadership roles in aviation, and what would that be?
Thank you for the question, Jenny. So firstly, as AB just mentioned, aviation is not just about piloting. There's so many different roles that you can pursue in this industry, like Amy, we do the marketing side, and Cindy doing the training, and we are on the aviation consulting, and there's so many other areas in the field. At AERO, we are not just filling the seats, we are shaping the future workforce. So our business model gives us a bird's eye view of the industry trends. And when clients say, find us the best talent, we ask, are you ready to hire women? Because if you are not, you are missing out 50% of the potential stars. And what I'm really eager to see in the next 5 years, I think is a significant increase in the visibility of female leaders in the industry. I think this is very crucial for inspiring the next generation of young female talents in the industry. For example, first we can have more industry awards. Right now we do have some awards, but I think we can make it more prominent. Like the awards like Most Innovative Female Leader in Aviation Safety, or Outstanding Female Aviation Trailblazers. These kind of awards should not only be given out in a big industry events, but also in more aviation-related medias or social media channels to showcase the winners. So when young women are looking into aviation careers, they can easily find these stories. It's like a beacon. So showing them there are real opportunities to be recognized and celebrated for their leadership. And speaking opportunities, I think, is another game changer. So I hope to see more female leaders on the speaking circuit at major conferences, seminars, or workshops, like what we are doing right now. This speaking gigs not only give women a chance to shine, but also allow them to networking with the industry professionals, and opens up more opportunities for growth. Maybe media coverage is another key. So local newspapers, magazines, and online platforms can interview like airline CEOs or management companies or airport managers who are revolutionizing the way airports operates, or have features on women how to overcome obstacles to reach their leadership positions. So this kind of this will not only inspire more women aiming for leadership roles, but also changing the perception of the industry as a whole. So those women in the industry, especially for those just starting off, sees others look like them in the leadership positions. I think it's a confidence boost. So it becomes more easier for them to picture themselves in those positions and think, if she can do it, so can I. So at AERO, we work hard to trying to find different ways to support female talents and try to attract more women into the industry and help them to climb the leadership ladders. That's what I'm really looking forward to see in the next 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Of course, Amy.
I also want to make a point that it's within the organization. I think it's also important to have that flexibility based on what this person is best at. And when you first join a company, you sign up for a certain role, you try, it might not necessarily be what you are good at. The best, actually, what you are best at. But then having that flexibility of maybe he might not be the best person for sales, but she could be a very good person for client services, or maybe where this person's passion is. Sometimes for a lot of people, especially new joiners, I got into this position is because of it happened to be there is an opening. So, but this is not my passion, for example, but develop that passion for the new joiners and help them find their position within the company and groom them to be the position, you know, providing that platform I think is really important. We see people switching departments all the time, and then also relocations across different offices all the time. And this is also part of the corporate culture that I mentioned. I think it's also very important in this whole Women in Aviation initiative.
Yeah. Definitely. So the culture that the company has to be inclusive, to be finding a gender equality is very, very important in promoting all the aspects we just talked about. And I have one last question for Roohi. Through Women in Aviation in Singapore chapter, what initiatives have been most impactful in supporting women in aviation?
Thank you, Jenny. Actually, Women in Aviation Singapore chapter, it is an interesting networking platform. So networking is one area we focus on, but we have a bigger goal where we are taking care of a lot of things. So we focus on fostering diversity and also advocating inclusivity in the corporate sectors, in the younger talent generation, how the companies can start focusing on building a new talent system, the younger talent systems. So we have different flagship programs, and out of those, I would name 4 of our major flagship programs are, we focus a lot on mentorship, we focus a lot on sponsorships, how the leadership developments can take place, how the corporates can play a major role in bridging this gap between diversity and equality. So mentorship, sponsorship, advocacy, and leadership development is another area where we cater a lot. So our flagship programs are kind of catering to different set of aviation audiences. For example, we have a program which is called Girls in Aviation Day, where we are very specifically targeting the younger girls who are below 13 years, 14 years of age group. And the idea is to introduce them in the younger age to aviation sector. And there we have a lot of initiatives, like we take them to, for example, a flight simulation experience. We'll give them the exposure to the live airport facility or the aircraft facility. So the idea is to encourage them into aviation. Also, then we have a second set of flagship program, which is Gen Z Careers in Aviation, where we are now focusing the ones above 14 years to the college or the university graduates. So the idea is to connect a corporate company and a younger talent who is looking to kind of network within the industry and also explore the job opportunities or the career opportunities, or which programs they can start pursuing when they are getting ready to enter into the aviation industry. The third flagship program we focus is on our gala dinner, which is very exclusively dedicated to the corporates, aviation corporates. In that we have commercial, we have business, we have general aviation corporates. And also the idea is to understand the requirements of corporates, understand the talent shortage they are facing, understand where they need female leadership programs. So we are kind of encouraging them to join us, and also we help them navigate these diversity challenges through our advocacy programs. Last, we have an interesting mentorship program, which is in our year 4 now. And what we do is we try to connect mentor and mentee within the industry, can be outside the industry also, just to explore them and if there is some synergy happening between them. I'll give you my example, like 2 examples, how this platform actually helped me a lot. So 3 years back when I was moving to Singapore from the UK, And I had zero connections in Singapore. I had zero knowledge of Singapore aviation community, no one to talk to, no one to kind of network with. So I reached out to this chapter, Women in Aviation Singapore chapter, and I just told them, oh, I'm new to Singapore. I don't know anything here. Can you help me out? And they were just amazing. They just came forward. They started helping me out. Also, they started connecting me to the various networks, what I was looking for. So that is where, of course, this chapter definitely played an important role in my personal journey. The second example I would give would be how the mentorship program shaped my life. 2 years back when I was stepping onto the founder's journey, so I was actually looking for a new mentor in my life who could help me with the founder's journey and who could help me navigate the challenges I was facing as a woman. And so again, I reached out to the chapter and I said, okay, this is what my challenge is and I need help. And so they actually, even though I am 19 years in the industry, still I decided, okay, I will join their mentee program. So I was the batch 2 mentee program with Women in Aviation. And they actually connected me to an interesting CEO of the company who was handling the Asia Pacific responsibility. Now that was a very interesting learning for me because as someone who was just stepping onto the founder's journey, and I was being matched with a CEO who had all those experiences, what I was looking to learn. I think that actually shaped my career, and that shaped me as a person, a much better, I would say. So, summarizing in a nutshell, Women in Aviation is an important platform, but please don't go with the name Women in Aviation because you'll be surprised that 10% of our chapter members are actually male allies. So this is where I am coming to my next point. When we talk about women in aviation or promotion of leadership roles in aviation, so we actually need more support from male allies. So technically, female can help another female in the aviation sector, but not male. So we need those males stepping up forward and coming to help. And you'll be surprised that in our chapter, we at least have 10% of the male allies. They all are in a very senior positions in our company. Some of them are CEOs, some of them are like super seniors. So they are the one advocating this change now, together with us. The more, the merrier. And summarizing what my panelists just said, I would love to add to their points. Where do I want to see the aviation moving ahead in next 5 years is, there has to be a collective approach and a systematic one because it cannot only fall onto the responsibility of a company or a HR policy. It has to also come from the regulatory side. Singapore is a very good example of this point. Recently, Civil Aviation Authority of Singapore and Women in Aviation Singapore chapter, we signed an agreement. The reason we signed an agreement is to help build a younger talent pool into the industry because they are already seeing a talent shortage. So that is where they are kind of working together as a regulator to start implementing these changes on the policy level. And then it comes to the company level and the industry level. That's where I said it has to be a collective and a systematic approach.
Definitely, Roohi. Thank you for that. Yes, it has to come from the regulators as well, not only from the industry players, that setting up a certain percentage for the female professionals to join the workforce is essential. In some places where we can have and mentoring more female leaders to join us as leaders in the company. So we have a few questions from the audience side. Thank you very much for interacting with us. And I think some of the questions has already been answered. So I probably will pick one or two. And so maybe one of our panelists here can pick and choose which one you want to answer. So I see a good one here. is what do you see as the biggest barrier preventing women from entering or advancing in the business aviation sector? Does any one of our panelists want to answer that?
Maybe I'll take it. I think in my personal experience, it's the lack of knowledge. And also, there is still that disparity between the commercial aviation and business aviation industry. So earlier I was speaking to someone, and so I was just telling about my experience that whenever I attend any event and there is a commercial aviation guy in front of me, and I'll be like, oh, I do business aviation. So they go blank. They have zero knowledge what is business aviation. I think that is where the lack of knowledge is still there. Also, I think, like I said earlier, I'll repeat my point. We need to advocate more that what are the career options which can be explored in business aviation. There is a lot to explore in business aviation. It's just that we need to spread that knowledge.
Can I add that?
Yes, please.
Yes. So that's why we have trainings, right? So that's why. So no, besides public speaking, like a public course, I also go around the world. I try to give as much as guest talks about an introduction about business aviation to kind of really, boost up the younger generation to arouse their interest and their curiosity to come to air shows, to talk more to professionals like yourself to understand this business, and who knows that we can basically be an advocate myself to basically help them, to guide them to a path into business aviation. So I think we're doing a good job, I think, isn't it?
I think I also want to add to that. I feel the biggest barrier is yourself. Like I wouldn't think that I can't do it before I even do it. So don't think that you are in an inferior position before you are even put in that position. So I think like this, everyone will give you opportunity if you're ready to take it. So I think obviously what the ladies discussed already, externally we need to provide the resources, the platform, but I feel like the mindset itself is also a thing to help you push yourself forward, because nobody is gonna grab that opportunity for you except yourself. So tell yourself that you can do it. Why not? Then when the opportunity is there, then you're ready to grab it. So that's what I would say.
For sure. Thank you, ladies. And we have one more minute, and I think it's probably not enough for another question. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for sitting here with us and listen to our last session of the air show this time. I think to conclude, we need advocacy, we need representation, and a community to work together in a collective force to bring equality and inclusive workforce culture into the business aviation. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for participating. This is the last session of the Singapore Air Show for business aviation. And before we end, I want to advertise for ASPA's event. So we all know International Women's Day is coming up on March 8th, and so on March 14th, we'll host an event in Hong Kong for women in aviation. So for any of you who's traveling in the region, please sign up and register with us. It's a very interesting event where we celebrate women in aviation, and we bring all the industry professionals together to share their experiences, to share their insightful stories. So it's going to be a very fun event, and plus the theme is the old-fashioned 30s Shanghai. So it will be very nice to see you dress up in that theme and interact with us more. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, the panelists, Amy, Cindy, Lili, and Roohi. And so that concludes our Women in Aviation, Business Aviation session for this air show. Thank you very much.